Good afternoon, Chairman Collins, Ranking Member McCaskill, and distinguished members of the committee. I'm Frank Schiller. I'm from Peaks Island, Maine. I appreciate the opportunity very much to be here today, albeit perhaps as the distinguished dummy, to share my story as a victim of a computer scam. While the whole episode was and is extremely embarrassing, I want to share my story with you and others today out of my concern that these criminals are still preying upon seniors and others. These people need to be stopped, and their calls need to be ignored. As a short summary of my circumstances, on October 1st of 2013, I received a call at home from somebody calling himself Brad. Said he worked for somebody calling themselves the Cavish Techno Software Company. Said that they had a contract with Microsoft or some probable company. He claimed that they had identified through reports from Microsoft many problems with my computer's operations. He gave me a 32-item alphanumeric code. He said if I wrote it down, he could verify my problems and further convince me that his concerns about computer problems were legitimate if I went on my computer. So I did write it down. I went on the computer. I followed his instructions, very few of them, very simple. And sure enough, what it showed was my computer's ID, its IP address. I'm not sure how he got that. I was kind of amazed. He said, well, now let me show you this. A few more instructions, and my computer screen began to scroll, pages and pages and pages of small groups of numbers. He said that was machine code, that it was from programs that were cluttering up the computer, which were interfering with its operations. How he had known my name, the call had been to, is this Frank? How he had known my phone number, how he had known my computer ID or IPA, I have no idea. But his ability to identify those things and to walk through that computer as easily as we go through our front doors was impressive. So I continued. He said, okay, he had software to clean the computer up and to stop those malicious files. He gave me several options. One was $349. For $79 more, you could get 2 years additional. I said, okay, I could pay for it with Visa. He said, no, they couldn't accept Visa because they had to work through the Central Bank of India, and Visa wouldn't authorize payment to there. So I would have to authorize Visa directly. I was still suspicious enough to stay mute about that I had a cell phone aside and said, well, I'd have to get off the phone with him, call him back if he could give me a phone number. He did, with an area code of 190 something or other, which is in my material. I talked to Visa, I authorized the payment, hung up, called back, got some very gruff person, not at all like a professional at a company, I thought, referred me back to Brad, and the process was cleared. I got a couple of additional programs for my computer. That was the end of that and Brad. I ran those programs, and it didn't seem to do anything. I mean, it didn't hurt anything. It didn't seem to help anything. It didn't do anything. I found a support folder on my desktop at the time that had a contact file in it, and it had 2 receipts in there from Visa, including transaction bank numbers, which are in the material I have sent with my complaints. That was quiet until December 16th, 9 days before Christmas, whatever. I got another call from Brad. He said that his contract with Microsoft had been canceled, and therefore he had to refund the money that they had charged me for those programs. Oh, fine, send me a check, I said. Well, no, we can't do that. We have to process your refund the same way that you made a payment. But again, Visa wasn't going to allow a transaction from the First Bank of India. Oh, well, I'm sorry. The only thing we can do is transfer it into your checking account. Well, this is where I get dumber. It was right before Christmas. You know, you can always find things, people that need things right before Christmas. Okay, so I gave him my account number, my routing number. He said, look, I do this every day, day in, day out. I can put this right in for you. Press a few keys for me here, and it'll get it done. Well, what I did was gave him control of my keyboard. The next thing popped up was a Western Union transfer box. It came up, it flashed very quickly, miniaturized to the size of a bottle cap. In the process, I noted this $980 figure plug-in. So, well, what's that? Oh, well, I have to bundle a few transfer requests in one. Don't worry. That was done, gone. The next day, I discovered that $980 had been withdrawn from my checking account. I've got it in my testimony, but I complained, I froze the account, I complained to the local police department, I emailed, complained to Western Union, I closed the checking account. I filed formal grievances with the Maine Attorney General's Office, the State Police Computer Crimes Unit, the Federal Trade Commission. Got a very nice piece of correspondence back from the Federal Trade Commission, giving me a complaint number and a counselor number in case I needed to get more upset or not. The next day, after I had closed my bank account and whatever, Brad called back, very upset. He wanted access to my computer. Well, no, it didn't work that way. I wasn't going to do that again. They called me probably 3 times a week for the next couple months. You know, it's why they invented caller ID. But even then, it comes up unknown. You don't quite know who's called. You don't want to ever answer the phone, but it makes you feel different about answering your own telephone. And they vacillated between very courteous, we're sorry, there'd been a mistake. If you let us on your computer, we'll fix it, to very insistent. You need to get on your computer now. And I'm not going there. So I think it's important that people know. I worked in assisted living with elderly people. I used to give little workshops to people. Don't trust people on the phone. Never give your checking account information to anybody. Don't ever do that. Well, I did. And it was a sequence of circumstances. I wasn't trying to be sold something. They were trying to give me money. You know, the timing, mid-December, was pretty good from their perspective. His knowledge of how my computer worked, where it would go, what it would do, was beyond anything I had any imagination of. So I realized that chances of financial recovery are near zero. But I'm here today to share that story, hoping that it helps other people from falling into the same process, the same scam, that it helps you in your work, that it helps these agents and agencies in their work, honestly, to shut this down. I mean, there's no reason with all the technological capacity we have on our side that they should be making thousands of phone calls a week to thousands of people with this just terribly bogus information, just stealing them blind, and it doesn't do anybody any good. I mean, you know, we've got natural disasters, we've got crises to deal with. We don't need to be giving it to some Brad who I'm sure is not helping out his family, neighbors, and others that need help. And so I thank you for the opportunity to be here. And when we get to it, we'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schiller, for your willingness to come forward and share your personal experience, very unfortunate personal experience. Ms.